Bond looked angrily at the back of the paper. "Now what the hell?" he said with control. "Just as you say, sir." M gave Bond a careful, appraising glance. He held the paper closer to his eyes. "This officer," he read, "remains basically physically sound. Unfortunately, his mode of life is not such as is likely to allow him to remain in this happy state. Despite many previous warnings, he admits to smoking 60 cigarettes a day. These are of a Balkan mixture with a higher nicotine content than the cheaper varieties. When not engaged upon strenuous duty, the officer's average daily consumption of alcohol is in the region of half a bottle of spirits of between 60 and 70 proof. On examination, there continues to be little definite sign of deterioration. The tongue is furred. The blood pressure a little raised at 160/90. The liver is not palpable. On the other hand, when pressed, the officer admits to frequent occipital headaches, and there is spasm in the trapezius muscles, and so-called fibrositis nodules can be felt. I believe these symptoms to be due to this officer's mode of life. He is not responsive to the suggestion that overindulgence is no remedy for the tensions inherent in his professional calling, and can only result in the creation of a toxic state which could finally have the effect of reducing his fitness as an officer. I recommend that number 007 should take it easy for 2 to 3 weeks on a more abstemious regime, when I believe he would make a complete return to his previous exceptionally high state of physical fitness." M reached over and slid the report into his out tray. He put his hands flat down on the desk in front of him and looked sternly across at Bond. He said, "Not very satisfactory, is it, James?" Bond tried to keep the impatience out of his voice. He said, "I'm perfectly fit, sir. Everyone has occasional headaches. Most weekend golfers have fibrositis. You get it from sweating and then sitting in a draft. Aspirin and embrocation get rid of them. Nothing to it, really, sir." M said severely, "That's just where you're making a big mistake, James. Taking medicine only suppresses these symptoms of yours. Medicine doesn't get to the root of the trouble, it only conceals it. The result is a more highly poisoned condition which may become chronic disease. All drugs are harmful to the system. They are contrary to nature. The same applies to most of the food we eat. White bread with all the roughage removed. Refined sugar with all the goodness machined out of it. Pasteurized milk which has had most of the vitamins boiled away. Everything overcooked and denaturized. Why?" M reached into his pocket for his notebook and consulted it. "Do you know what our bread contains apart from a bit of overground flour?" M looked accusingly at Bond. "It contains large quantities of chalk, also benzoyl peroxide powder, chlorine gas, sal ammoniac, and alum." M put the notebook back in his pocket. "What do you think of that?" Bond, mystified by all this, said defensively, "I don't eat all that much bread, sir." "Maybe not," said M impatiently. "But how much stone-ground whole wheat do you eat? How much yogurt? Uncooked vegetables? Nuts? Fresh fruit?" Bond smiled. "Practically none at all, sir." "It's no laughing matter." M tapped his forefinger on the desk for emphasis. "Mark my words. There is no way to health except the natural way. All your troubles—" Bond opened his mouth to protest, but M held up his hand. "The deep-seated toxemia revealed by your medical are the result of a basically unnatural way of life. Ever heard of Bircher-Brenner, for instance? Or Kneipp, Priesnitz, Rickley, Schrott, Gossman, Biltz? No, sir. Just so. Well, those are the men you would be wise to study. Those are the great naturopaths, the men whose teaching we have foolishly ignored. Fortunately," M's eyes gleamed enthusiastically, "there are a number of disciples of these men practicing in England. Nature cure is not beyond our reach." James Bond looked curiously at M. What the hell had got into the old man? Was all this the first sign of senile decay? But M looked fitter than Bond had ever seen him. The cold grey eyes were clear as crystal, and the skin of the hard-lined face was luminous with health. Even the iron-grey hair seemed to have new life. Then what was all this lunacy? M reached for his in-tray and placed it in front of him in a preliminary gesture of dismissal. He said cheerfully, "Well, that's all, James. Miss Moneypenny has made the reservation."